And there will be 2 more strings you should really practice. I'll practice the first one together with you a bit. We got about 20 minutes left for the class, which is good. So we should do no more than 20 minutes on this. It's pretty dry and boring. You just got to be very careful. I would say try to picture how you would do it. I might ask you questions, assuming that you know how to trace it. I might ask you some detail about the tracing in the quiz or in the exam. Okay, so but I'll try to do as much with you as possible for today. And this is something we'll do partially together. And this is a little bit more challenging string to parse. That's something I'll leave to you as your own exercise. If you really want to show me your work about tracing it, again, office hour. Otherwise, I'll assume you're fine. All right? Okay, good. And there will be something about epsilon production. So what do I mean by epsilon production? If you look at this grammar here, which we're going to assume will be the input. For example, you see expression prime produces epsilon. If the epsilon is the only right-hand side, it's an epsilon production. Okay? And how do we exactly handle epsilon production in the grammar? That one there is not explicitly mentioned in the algorithm. But I'm going to show you visually how that's supposed to work. We'll at least cover that. All right? That's kind of something you want to remember. Okay, why don't we try? All right. I did try to practice earlier this morning. I can still mess up. But anyway, I'll try to demonstrate as much as I can. But let's try. Help me out if I make any mistake. This is the input string. This is the right recursive grammar. And that's the top-down parsing algorithm trying to find the leftmost derivation. Right? Let's now try. Initialization, we did it already. Let's do it again. So we're going to do this part over here. Initialization. Start with the root. So the root is going, let me just save some space. The root points to the node created from the start symbol, which is expression. And the current node to focus will just be the root. And of course, we'll keep changing the focus. Initialize the trace stack for backtrack purpose. And I already drew the stack. I just call it trace. And we're going to push just a null value there initially. And then we're going to have the word. I'll put a word here. And let's say here we start with this, just A. Okay, that's the initialization. We're good. Okay. And actually, we already did some very nice warm-up before the break, right? So everybody would agree. For the first iteration over here, we are actually going to satisfy this condition, right? Because the focus is at a variable. Okay, so we're going to go into here. And when we get into this nested if condition here, should we go for this one here or should we go for this one here? It depends on, at level 0, have we explored all the possibility for expression produces something? We haven't, because this one is still not visited. So that will be the one to look at, right? So that means we're going to go into over here. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use a different color. So I'm going to use the blue. So that means I'm going to visit this particular rule. All right? And to do that, it's going to be turn and expression prime. So remember the 3 lines we need to execute over here. Create the child nodes first. It's going to be turn and also expression prime here. And we have to push onto the stack. What do we push? Do we push expression prime and turn? Just expression prime in this case, right? Think about the reverse order. Okay, that's something we did. So push expression prime first. And the focus is going to be turn, beta 1. So think about focus rather than here. It's now going to be here. And now you can see we are facing a different situation now. Before we enter the second iteration, let me mention. It's now turn rather than expression again. So indeed, it's going to terminate. Right? It's not left recursive anymore. Okay? That's about the first iteration. What about the second iteration? When we go back to the second iteration, while true, so we just check to see, is this condition satisfied again? It is, right? Because focus is turn, which is a variable. So let me use maybe green. Okay, for the turn, it's actually here. This is the only rule that we can use. Sorry, I'm not sure if you can see that very clearly from the screen, but this is blue, this is green. Okay, but you will see that when you see the recording if needed. Okay, so for this one here, we're still going to execute 1, 2, and 3. 3 lines over here. That's going to be turn will be factor and turn prime. Factor and also turn prime. And that's about this first step. What should we push onto the stack? Turn prime. Right? Let's do that. And then we're going to change the focus into factor. Okay? Over here, so far so good. And then for factor, we can go to the third iteration. Let's say we go to the third iteration here, and because now it's factor. Factor is definitely a variable. So we're still going to execute this part here again. Okay? And let's go further. And for the factor here for level 2, we should try this one first. Agree? And you can see that we are reaching somewhere that's going to require backtrack. Because from our judgment, we should really choose this one rather than this one. But the algorithm wouldn't tell that at this point. So you're going to try this one here. Somehow we're going to reach some dead end and know that we have to backtrack. So now we want to see what happened. So after choosing this rule, we're going to execute 1, 2, and 3. Let's create a child nodes. This one here, expression, and this one here. Okay? And we're going to push some stuff onto the stack. What do we push? What's the first one to push? Yes. And then? Thank you. Thank you so much. Exactly. And then we're also going to shift the focus from this to this. All right? Good. And let's now move on to the next iteration. Now, can somebody tell me what's now going to happen? Given that focus is now not a variable. I'll make it a little bit larger for you guys. Okay, so somebody tell me what's going to happen here. Apparently, the first if condition there, focus is a variable. It's not going to be true. Agree? And William, where should we go?
Well, we can check if the word matches focus, and that's not true.
Right. How about the next else if?
And we have to null, so I think backtrack.
Exactly. That's exactly right. But let me just emphasize that again to everybody else. Very good. Right? This is the current focus. Not a variable. Also, does it match the word? No, it doesn't. This does not match this. And also, is it the EOF? No, not the end. So, backtrack. All right? So now, how do we backtrack? Let's now go over that code over there a little bit more carefully. Okay? I put that in a little bit like unprecise words, but I think once I show you the visual, you will have to figure out how to do that accordingly in the programming. Okay? I say pop from the stack all the siblings of the focus. The sibling of the focus will be these two. Pop them off. That's what I meant. Okay, let's do that first. So we're going to pop these two off because that's the wrong end to go. And also focus will be assigned to focus the parents, meaning that we want to have the focus reassigned to the factor, which is the parents of this one here. And then reset the children, meaning that we're going to reset all of them. They're gone. And for your record, I'm actually going to put this guy onto over here so that you remember. Think about they are just being garbage collected, okay, somehow. Okay, I'm going to put it here so you will remember. Okay, and then, okay, now, and we'll go to the next iteration. Now, can somebody tell me, in the next iteration, we got focus pointing to factor again. Now, what's going to happen?
We're gonna go to the second rule for factor.
Okay, so you mean this one here?
No.
Oh, the second rule. Yes. Okay, that's true. Okay, but I agree with you. But let me just go over the process, just with everybody else. First of all, the focus is again factor a variable. So we go to this check, and notice that for this particular level, we just explored this particular rule. Agree? You can see the color here is matching, right? That means we have one more to explore. If that one also doesn't match, we'll backtrack further. But let's try, okay? So we're still actually going to go for that one. So let me just say, we're going to check for this one here. Try this one here. And then we're going to go for 1, 2, and 3. And notice that you can see for the green one, I got 2 times. The first time we tried this, the second time we tried this, right? So now let's try the second time. That one is going to simply just got A. You can see this one, only one child. So beta 1, only beta 1 is there. And should we push anything onto the stack? No, there's no beta 2. Okay? And also focus is now going to be here. Okay, over here. All right, A here. And again, any volunteer to tell us what's going to happen given that focus has been now shifted to A. Anybody? Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yep, absolutely. First of all, A is not a variable, so skip the rest here. Also, the word currently is A, is matching the focus. Yes, indeed. We're going to go for this one here. Very good. Okay, let's do that. And once we do that, let me use purple here. So let's say we're going to try the word and focus, right? So the word is now going to be the next word. After A is going to be the plus. All right, and then the focus is going to be trace.pop. Trace.pop is term prime. That makes sense. That means the focus is now going to be shifted to over here. Okay, so far so good. Okay, I would say let's go a little bit further. I will pause once we have handled the epsilon production. That's what we will do. Okay. And so now we got we got a term prime. Okay, good. What about the term prime? I'm going to do it completely with you, but just before that, can we just try mentally to be predicting what's going to happen? The focus has now been shifted to term prime. Can you guys predict what's going to happen, given that there are 2 rules for term prime? If you guys can get this sorted, and once I trace, I think you got it. William.
I think we're going to try the star factor term prime. Be like, oh man, the next word is star. Guess we're going to have to back to that. Yeah.
And then get the epsilon. All right, good. Absolutely. Guys, why don't we do that for completeness? So once I handle the backtrack once again, and I will tell you how to handle epsilon, and then we're done. All right, so for the rest can be up to you. We don't need to do the whole thing. Let's try that. So given that the focus is now here, so we're actually going to, again, go for this part over here, right? This part here. And the term prime has 2 alternatives. Let's try the first one here. That's going to be star factor and also term prime. And obviously, we should push term prime and factor. And the focus now should be shifted to here. That will be the end of this iteration. And as William correctly pointed out, when we go to the next iteration, with the focus being a not variable, in that way, again, it's not a variable, so we skip the rest for the if. And then we can see that that one there doesn't match the word, right? You can see star does not match the plus. So we skip this part here. And the star is also not, oh sorry, the plus over here is also not an EOF. So we also don't execute that. So we have no option but to backtrack. Okay, second backtrack. For this backtrack here, again, we're going to pop off the siblings. The sibling for the star will be factor and term prime. Pop them off over here. And then the focus should be shifted back to the term prime. So here, it's not there anymore. The focus is not going to be term prime again. And I'm going to just move this guy here to over here for you. That's the second backtrack we did. All right, second one. And you can see now the focus is term prime again. All right? Jordan, if you don't mind, I point you. So now focus is term prime. What should we do in the next iteration?
So we've already tried
The first row? I agree. Epsilon. Thank you. I agree. Good. Very good. So for the next iteration, we are still actually going to try the term prime. So we'll try again. Again, purple, 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 right? Again, the first time we tried the first rule, we actually got backtrack. So that's why we got to try the second time. And this time now, we are actually going to have a, let me use a final color here, epsilon. All right, so for the epsilon here, we have to handle that a little bit differently. Okay. And by the way, just for your information, what we have done so far, let me highlight. Expression, term, expression prime, factor, A, term prime, epsilon, right? So that's what we have done so far. If you look at the parse tree that we did before the break. Partially. We're getting there. So I'm going to talk about how you can handle epsilon once you see that in the algorithm. The rest, exercise for you. Okay, but I think you guys definitely got the idea. Okay, let's now talk about how to handle epsilon. And this is something not really explicitly said in the algorithm. So I will point to you to the slides. And actually, just visually, how would you suggest? How should we handle the epsilon? Should we backtrack? William, you said no. Is there any intuitive judgment or justification why we wouldn't want to backtrack?
Well, I guess because there is
Sorry, say that again. What do you mean?
something else we should do instead.
I'm pretty sure there's something else we need to do, but not exactly the rationale. Okay, I'll help you a little bit. What was the reason that we did the two backtrack earlier? Remember we did this backtrack here? We did this one here, we did this one here. The reason we did it was because somehow this didn't match A. And also this didn't match plus. Can we really say that epsilon doesn't really match the word over here? Not really, because how about, I'll put it this way. It is true epsilon is not exactly plus, but you cannot deny there is a possibility that maybe this symbol over here can be reduced somehow to plus. And the epsilon has no effects on the concatenation. So that's why we wouldn't want to touch the epsilon just yet. We may have to, but not at this point. All right, do you guys see the justification here? Okay, I'll write it down, and then I'll show you what to do. Okay, so this part here. Does it match plus, but epsilon has no effects on the concatenation. That means the next symbol may match the word. That's my intuitive justification, right? Just keep that in mind when you implement your Java code later. Right, so that's why in the slides you will see how do we handle. We simply say execute, focus is will be trace.pop. What does that mean? That means we don't want to modify the tree structure over here. We don't want to. Okay, we don't want to. We just want to change the focus to this guy here. What's this guy? Exactly expression prime over here. Okay, that's exactly there. Okay, that's what we want to do. Okay. After this, we just want to do that, the focus. And you guys can do the rest. The rest of the tracing, I know it's tedious, again, tedious, error prone, and very nice way to put you into sleep, but you gotta try, okay? Exercise. Okay, and I would say this is part one of the exercise. There is another string over here, which will be a little bit more challenging. You will see that this one here might require, I don't know, more or fewer. You got to try more backtracking, right? That's also exercise for you. If there's any part you want to go over with me, feel free to come by office hour. Otherwise, I will assume you guys are okay. Okay?